Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reacts, where today we're going to be checking out a track from an act named Relentless Pursuit titled The Onslaught. And if we switch over to here, this is not the first time I reviewed music from Relentless Pursuit. I've checked out quite a lot of it in the past. It'd be good to see, sort of hear more, and we're going to listen through it from start till finish and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go, let's do it. I like the sound design actually, it's very ominous. I mean, it's heavy. Visceral with the sub drop. It's great to have the vocals as a texture as well, you know? I mean, it's so ferocious. Liking the tempo rubato feel of it. Well, not necessarily, just the changes in feel and time temperature and speed and that kind of stuff, I suppose. So is this still kind of keeping a spiritual sort of like slant or element to it? Because I think that's cool if that's the case. It's a very interesting piece. Like, there's so much of it as well. Like, you could have potentially had a fade out here. Brutal. So that was Relentless Pursuit with their song, The Onslaught. We're going to talk about it more in the conclusion. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Relentless Pursuit, titled The Onslaught. Now, we actually have an overall score just down here of various criteria that I sort of have sort of judged this track on. It got an overall score of 7.3 out of 10. So I feel like that's a pretty fair score. I appreciated parts of the vocals and the rhythm parts especially, but before we go any further, what do we think this track is about? I think that the song is about someone who is looking to ready they talk about like being a hollow vessel and readying themselves, their soul, to kind of seek to repent for their sins and for someone to sort of like, I suppose that maybe the onslaught is the stuff they've hit, the trials and tribulations they've had to go through in order to sort of resist that, or stuff they've kind of given into in the past and are looking for a new direction or a sort of a salvation. And I think effectively it's about someone who's done some things that they regret, and they've got the support from above, and they're looking to sort of find, again, solace and salvation within that. I think it's an interesting video and song with stuff that I feel like people will be able to relate to. It's very heavy. Like, it almost verges on a little bit too much, but I think that if you're going to commit to the metal sort of aesthetic with this sort of more sort of religious, spiritual music, I feel like this is the right way to go at it. You're just really feeling those feels in regards to it. I think that one of the things I appreciated about it, as per the scoring thing, but also just in general, is the actual quality of the vocal performance here. It's very raw and visceral. I think it matches a lot of what we are sort of expressing. Like, the expression makes sense with the subject matter of the story here, with the style of music, with the guitars, with the really sort of ominous sort of industrial sense, the sequences and stuff like that, the pads and all the sort of atmospheric elements, the bass and the drums. And it's a ferocious track, so I don't think you could have necessarily really gotten away with cleans unless there was like a context for that softness to be able to sort of lay there. I don't think there was a lot of room in this track for that. It was brutal, and I dug the sound of it, and I just thought the actual technique on the mic was good as well. I think also the kind of rough and ready style of production on this, it's not a perfectly polished and like level track in the sense that they're not trying to make a pop single here. It's a piece which is like kind of gritty and dark and grimy, and it's got a whole heap of heat to it. But I think that that's kind of a smart move in this situation, because the last thing you want is to make it sound a little bit too pretty and kind of confuse things. It was interesting, the sort of wind effects or kind of atmospheric kind of like stuff going on near the end of the track. You've got the sort of the synthy kind of theme that comes at the start and going outwards at the end. But a lot of the middle part of it, with the kind of the roughness of the harshness of the vocals, the guitar, bass, and drums, the intensity, it's palpable, and it's just so oppressing. And I kind of think that maybe sounds a bit like what the person is going through as they try to look for that help from above. I also think I want to sort of comment finally on the marching drums at the start. I think my third sort of comment that I appreciate about this track, in terms of the fact that what was really cool about it was almost like we were marching into battle. We were aware and ready for what was to come. It just sets an interesting precedent and mood within the piece. And just going on from that, the percussion in general was absolutely, like, it's so cutthroat. There was the tempos were kind of played with there. We weren't the same speed the entire time. I like the fact that we messed around with that. It was very organic feeling. But just, yeah, I feel like the actual power of the percussion, the drum kit there, both with those snare hits at the start and with the full kit later on, and also knowing when not to have a drum kit. Just these decisions were quite powerful, and I think were exactly what the song needed alongside the other instrumental elements within the arrangement. In terms of stuff that I feel could be improved, in this situation here in the past, I've spoken about stuff that could have been changed with like the mixing and production, but to be fair, I actually kind of dig the tone of it. I've listened to a lot of music recently, which isn't as clear-cut and kind of crisp, and there's a time and place for that. But I think that it can be more sort of artistic if you really kind of allow the music to sit in its mire and just kind of have that sense of source to it, that fire to it, that lack of wanting to overcomplicate that side of things. I just generally feel that this was a clever, interesting way of putting this track forward. There was clear intent put into how to sort of present it. So in that effect, I actually think this track was quite well done across the board. It's great to hear more of this music, and I appreciate the opportunity to listen through it. So thank you for watching my review of this track for an act named Relentless Pursuit, titled The Onslaught, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do show us some love via the various social medias and the YouTube page, and stay cool, stay safe. Please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.